Welcome back. This is the Post-Secondary Transition Podcast, where we have conversations around the ins and outs and everything in between of the transition process for families of students with disabilities. As always, I'm one of the hosts. My name is Patrick Cadigan, and as always, I have a co-host, and who would that be?
My name is Meghan Smallwood, and thanks for joining us.
Thank you for joining us. All right. So just a heads up, Megan and I are in the middle, and this, it's kind of one of those things that it's a constant cycle. We are in the middle of progress notes. So offline, we were having a conversation about what we would like to discuss. And Megan actually threw out having a conversation around summer opportunities, essentially. So Megan, did you want to tell the listeners what you were thinking?
Yeah, and I mean it's kind of hard to think about summer looking out the window and seeing the snow that came this weekend, and looking at summer camps for my own kids, but I know that it's going to sneak up on us, and I also know that a lot of students now, as IEP season really starts taking off with annuals, our ESY meetings or extended school year meetings are happening, and conversations are occurring about what the plan is with that for the summer. And I know many of the IEP teams have to go through the list of questions to see if the student's going to qualify for those 4 short weeks of ESY. So I think it's important that we kind of discuss other options as well, because it's great that ESY is offered. Obviously, it maintains skills. It's been acquired over the year. If a student's having breakthrough skills that have just occurred, we want to continue pursuing them. But I think it is good to know and lift up what else could be an option for the summer. I'm sure, Patrick, you hear from families too, usually starting around the winter time. Well, my student really likes working. I would really like for them to work or volunteer this summer. What can they do? Or, what camps exist? What kind of, programs are there that they can do? Because also if they did ESY, that's only 4 short weeks. There's still a rest of a summer. So I think the first thing I did want to mention is remember that they're teenagers. They are entitled to a break too. I hear families who have students qualify for ESY and they decline because they're like, nah, we're going to go on vacation. And I'm like, you know what? That might be more beneficial than ESY could be for them, because it gives them a chance to recharge, gives them a chance to be with family, just to be out in the community. So don't pass up an opportunity to take them on a good trip and be out and about, over ESY.
I remember I knew that I had crossed a threshold for my time in the system when I first, became a teacher and was going through the years, and, always ESY was like, well, that's just something you do. Like, you go and you have that conversation. And again, for anybody, just to be clear, when we say ESY, this is not like some special program that exists within our school system. ESY, summer school, it's another way of saying summer school. But I would always throw it at like, oh yeah, the student, they need to go to ESY. It's going to, prep them for the following year, for the coming year. This is a really good thing. But then I was having a conversation probably about 4, maybe 5 years into my teaching career with one of my parents. And we were having this conversation, and the parent was sharing with me all of the cool things that they were thinking about for my student at the time. And I just thought, again, the conversation was ESY or no ESY. And at the end of the day, I said, you know what? Just forget it. Just go do all this stuff that you're talking about, because the student is going to get so much more from those experiences than that 4 weeks. Not to say that 4 weeks cannot be valuable for some students, but
And again, it's individualized. So I think what happened, I agree with you. It was always ESY was one of those things we have to recommend, and they should qualify and they should go, especially being a life skills teacher. I think in my mind, I kind of expected all my students would go. So it was always shocking when I'd hear a student that was like, meh, we're going to do something else. But let's really think about those students, especially ages 18 to 21. Is that really what they need? When a good portion of their day might be already being spent out in the community if they're part of the work program, working on vocational skills. And what if the student is showing you or telling you that they're more interested in working than sitting in the classroom, going over academic skills? We just want to make sure you're all aware that there are options out there. And it may take a little exploring or researching on your end and some conversations with school staff if you have a transition specialist or a case manager, other parents, but there are opportunities that exist outside of ESY. So just to name a few, give put your brain in gear. Obviously, for those that it's appropriate for, DORS, the Division of Rehabilitation Services, is a big one to check in with, especially if you have an open pre-ETS or VR case. I know conversations usually start early, like now, about the summer vocational experiences, but it is a big area that they will support many of their students with. So if you have a DORS counselor, start that conversation, mention that you might be interested in it so they get on that list and can be supported over the summer.
This past school year was the first year where there was a student that I was working with where that was their option. When we were sitting in the IEP meeting and we were having the discussion around ESY, mom threw out there, no, this is not what I'm interested in doing because we have been in discussion with our counselor. And so over the summer, there is going to be a work study opportunity. That's what we're going to go do. And I was like, okay, great.
Yeah,
Sounds
it's
like a plan.
awesome to hear. And the best part, I think, is when we come back in August and we can hear feedback about where they went and what they did and did they like it or not. I mean, it's just more data to collect those strengths and interests for career areas. So it's definitely something to explore. Again, if it's appropriate, not appropriate for everybody, but it's something to consider. This is county specific. I'm not sure what goes on outside of ours, but I know in our county there's a summer youth employment program that exists with the government. And I know our workforce development center provides support in setting it up. And it's open to all students, but of course, also our students with disabilities. So, again, another great opportunity where they could be out working, exploring career areas of interest, making connections. So, something to look into. It might be listed on the county government website or the workforce, but definitely something to consider.
One thing that I will throw out about that, and this is something that literally happened to me within the last 2 weeks. Over for this school year, I am working with a student who has communicated many, many times that they would like to work at an airport. And I heard what the student was saying, and I was like, I am not aware of any opportunities for that to happen. Not saying that it can't happen, but let's just, so it was something that I put in the back of my mind, like, okay, I know that this student wants to do this. Then I get an email, and it was from someone in our system who was talking with this student, and the student relayed to them that they wanted to work at the airport. And the person that they were speaking with was like, oh, I actually had heard about this, an opportunity like
Hmm.
this. I haven't heard about it for a couple of years. So they forwarded me the information, said, you might want to look into this. And I did. And the person responded back and was like, yes, this is still a thing. It is an opportunity for someone with disabilities to work at a local airport doing, some type of work. I was just like, what are the chances? So the moral of the story is always keep your ears open because you never know where an opportunity might present itself.
And it's funny because I was actually involved in that case. I provided the flyer to that person that sent it to you because I was
Well,
like, "Oh,
that may or
airport."
may not be one of the reasons why I brought it up. But anyway,
I was like, as soon as you said airport, I'm like, "There are opportunities." And yeah, it's pretty cool.
yep. So, and then
Um,
the person, the contact, again, this was a flyer that was several years old. And so I sent an email kind of on a wish and a prayer. But
mhm.
within 20 minutes, the person responded back and said, yes, this is a thing. And tell me about your student.
Awesome. Well, that makes me happy to hear because I remember hearing about the program and I'm like, "Oh, it's very niche, and like I need that right student, but it's
Very,
good to know one of those to keep in mind that it exists." So,
very,
awesome.
very, very niche. So, yeah,
Yes.
again, moral of the story always keep your ears open because you never know where an opportunity is
And
going to come
always
from.
put it out there to people because you never know who might have the resource that is the right match.
Yes, very much so.
Awesome. Okay, another big one, and this could be for anybody, even if you're not appropriate for doors, you don't have any other services, volunteering in the community. I mean, I did it when I was a teenager. Of course, I would have loved to be paid, but it was all I could get at the time. So I was happy to be out and about working. But think about the places in your community, the local farms, churches, libraries, any organization that you have volunteer signups for. It's a great chance for your student to get out there, practice some skills, make connections. If they are part of the work program at school, you might be able to ask their teacher if there's any that they know of or that they have worked with throughout the year. But thinking long term, especially for those individuals and families who might be looking at self directed services down the road, it's a great chance to like almost start a trial run. You're making the contact with an organization, you're setting up the schedule. Maybe you have to provide someone to go with them. So it just gives you a little taste of what life could be at 21.
And again, along those lines, you never know what a volunteer opportunity might blossom into in the future. Not in all cases. In some cases, it's actually very few times. But, I mean, we've heard about situations where students were volunteering and then a job presented itself and one of the community leaders was like, hey, this might actually work out okay.
Yeah, if you find that right match, and again, it could be trial and error. You got to get out there to know. So yeah, definitely, and also put it out to other families, other people that you know, people that you work with, or in your organizations or activities that they participate in. Just put it out there that you're looking for a summer opportunity and see what hits. If an individual is interested in camp, there are camps for students up to age 21 that work specifically with individuals with disabilities. And I just had a conversation with the family about sleepaway camps because their student advocated and said he wanted to go to camp, a different camp than he had been going to, and he will be exiting next year. And I said, "Have you ever thought about, sleepaway camp?" And they said, "He's never been away from us." And the student has shown independence, and I said, "It might be something pretty cool for him to try." I mean, it gives him a taste of more independence, and he's completely supported while he's there. And the other cool thing is list funding. If you put in for that lottery twice a year, that could pay for it. If they're receiving SSI, that could be used to pay for a sleepaway camp. But it's definitely something to consider and, gives them a taste of little, like I said, independence, but also life without mom and dad right there. I know it's scary. We talk about what it's going to be like down the road if you're not around, but it's just I think it's a great opportunity just for them and you.
Yeah. And then playing off of that also, don't shy away from those potential social opportunities. Both Megan and I are involved with Facebook groups that focus on different aspects of what what individuals are doing, be it a social group or a self-directed group or something like that. And they're constantly, throwing out ideas and stuff like that. So, I mean, again, opportunities to socialize with others is really important.
Yeah, and just right, as we're talking, you mentioned social. I think Rec and Parks also has lots of opportunities too, especially for the older crew, especially for individual with disabilities. So definitely, just like I said, research, explore. Now is the time to see what's out there, what's opening up, and consider other options besides ESY.
Yeah. And because there usually is other options, and it is definitely worth having a conversation.
Agree. I agree.
All right. Well, I would say that would be a good place to bring this discussion to a close. We still have much more planned out as we continue to navigate our way through this new year. And we look forward to having more conversations with you.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks.
Our discussions are everywhere: Apple, Spotify, YouTube Music, and others. So hit that follow button and you won't miss out. Please, if you haven't already done so, consider leaving a review, preferably 5-star. It helps you spread the word and helps us because we know you're listening. Links to the information from our conversations are always in our show notes. Our YouTube channel contains curated videos that revolve around transition, including playlists for guardianship, alternatives to guardianship, ABLE accounts, and more to come. And then finally, check out our website, www.postsecondarytransition.com, full of information and links to more resources. Thanks so much for your time spent with us, and we look forward to talking again soon.